Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back to Sadie Hawkins Pod. How's everybody been? What's been going on, Jess? How you been?
I'm good. How are you? How's everybody out there in listener land?
How's everybody doing? So yeah, been a bit, but it's been some time. Let me see. So it's been since May 12th is the last episode is the last time we dropped an episode. That was Mother's Triumph. And we basked in the Mother's Triumph for like 6-7 weeks.
We sure did.
Holding the line here in the chaos that is our apartment, raising Cooper. But it's been such a long time since we last had an episode of the show. Here.
It has been.
Let's catch up on what's going on in the world. Let's open a newspaper and oh my gosh. Wow, a lot can happen in 7 weeks. And of course,
man.
I'm referring to the fact that Relient K is playing SeaWorld San Diego.
Oh, naturally. I thought you meant the news that I got into a fight with a stenographer.
You did? And that's real deep research for this week's episode.
I don't know why I decided we should try and pull out a bit at the last minute, but I was like, hey, I got this in my back.
Let's do it. Let's do an old school Sadie Hawkins Pod opening bit. Ready? Hello, I'm a stenographer. You want to fight?
Ha-cha-cha. I don't know why that was my fight.
That's your catchphrase. Ha-cha-cha-cha.
That's what I do as the car fox.
Oh, right. Nobody knows what that means.
I think we talked about it, either on here or on Patreon. Either way. Even Cooper's
right,
done.
Cut to the song.
I got in a fight with the stenographer. Afterwards, she read me like a book.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sadie Hawkins Pod.
A weird opening for a weird song this week on Sadie Hawkins Pod.
Very fitting.
Yes. And I should say, auspicious occasion. This is it. This is our first...
The way you accidentally said this is it, I was like, oh.
Yeah, this is it. This is the final episode. I'm just like, screw it. No. Whoops.
Oh.
I accidentally just played...
What are we listening to?
Just some reel that got suggested to me. My friend come to church. It's not weird. And then the church is some people doing a samba.
Are we going to get content ID'd for whatever this is?
I don't know what this is. This is uploaded by Dan in Reel's Life. Oh, and he's doing like a breakdance thing.
Nice.
He's doing like moonwalking and stuff.
Well,
that's fun. I accidentally clicked. I opened Instagram because I was getting ready to talk about the SeaWorld show that's happening in a week. But then I accidentally clicked on recommended for you reels. Anyway, what was I saying? Weird song, weird opening. Oh, this is auspicious occasion. This is it. We're finally breaking down the final barrier of Sadie Hawkins Pod podcasting. We're podcasting to you now from Sadie Hawkins Pod Studio West. This is because over there is technically the kitchen over there, which has been our podcast studio for 5 years, is technically over to the east, and we're over here in the west, sitting on the couch in the living room, and Jessica is holding the microphone.
Way to pull back the curtain, Dan.
I'm pulling back the curtain. We've been workshopping this on the Patreon, despite the fact that it's been almost 7 weeks since a free episode. We have tried, and for the most part succeeded on keeping up with the Patreon. We're still one episode behind. We need to get 3 Patreon episodes out by the end of this month, but we're really caught up. Like, we haven't had a month where we have had less than the 2 that we're supposed to have. It was a couple months ago where we only had 1 Patreon episode in a month, so we were like, well, we owe you double coming up, so that's what we're working on. But anyway, we're doing it. We're podcasting from the couch, so we've been workshopping it on Patreon for a couple of months. Podcasting from here, figuring out the kinks, and it works out. So, I would see like a lot of younger YouTubers, not that much younger, but in their 20s and 30s, podcasting with like holding a Yeti mic up to their face and then like editing the video together after. And I'm like, oh, you can just hold those and they don't like make a lot of ruffling sounds. And we've been testing it and it's been working out. Jessica's holding the Yeti mic right now, the same mic we've had since the beginning of this podcast. It turns out you can kind of just hold it and point it back and forth like a journalist.
You sure can.
So what do you think, Cooper? Cooper just finished being fed by Mom with a bottle. With a bottle. That's a barrier we haven't crossed as far as you know here on the podcast. And
I'm pretty sure it has.
But then he crawled over to me once he was done eating. We're doing that thing again. There was one podcast we did with Cooper in our lap where he was like, when we podcasted at the kitchen table, he's like, oh yeah, this is what we do sometimes. One time we did a video podcast in the last month where we did it from our record player, and he's like, what are we doing? He like figured out something was wrong. Like we set up the chairs and the computer in a corner of the room by the record player, and we just sat there, and he's like, he just started looking at us like with this really dazed look. I'm like,
he was really upset.
Was
he was like,
surreal.
He definitely had to look like something was wrong.
Like, why are we doing this? This is so weird. But anyway, we're back and we're talking about the Stenographer. So we have to decide if on the weekend we can go to SeaWorld and then we'll see Relient K once again, because I tried to say that in time to how the I can't carry a tune, but I tried to say that in time to the Stenographer.
Yeah.
So on August 3rd, if you hear this the week before, as it comes out and within the week it comes out, August 3rd, which is a Saturday, I think, Relient K is playing SeaWorld San Diego, and I was like, do we go? That is a Saturday. They didn't announce it on their social media, just like they didn't announce when they played SeaWorld Florida a couple months ago. But Jessica and I were like, well, it's like a couple hours away, but guess what? We're real busy. And it would actually be, we'd be able to take Cooper to his first Relient K show because it's an outdoor show at SeaWorld. A ticket to this show.
He's got headphones.
He's got his little baby earmuffs. A ticket to this show is just a ticket to the park. The SeaWorld concert series, it really is like you're at SeaWorld and a band plays. And I guess you can go if you know the band, but for most people it's just like a band is playing. I know. So he's saying, yeah, I want to go. I want to go. You left me at home when you went to see MXPX and Relient K and Less Than Jake without me.
And we're going to see Megadeth.
And we're going to go see Megadeth. We bought tickets for Megadeth in later August at the YouTube Theater. We got a babysitter lined up for him.
Before we even knew about Relient K.
Before we knew about the Relient K thing, because it hit Songkick and all those concert aggregators like 2 weeks before, like a week ago, like 2 weeks before. It's like, well, now we got to plan. Really, it's
a very short period of time to try and plan for. You know, it's funny. It's like, man, if those websites had not picked up on that, like, how many people would know this was happening?
I really do think, though, that it seems to me from context that the SeaWorld concert series really just is like you are going to SeaWorld, so here's some fun bands that will happen to be playing. So yes, some people will go to see their favorite artists particularly, and maybe there are like SeaWorld concert series regulars, like there are, you know, Hollywood Bowl season ticket holders. But
well, no, like the Flower Power, you know, at the I don't think that's the Food and Wine Festival. Is it the food? No, I don't remember because it's been a minute. But we used to go to the Flower Power thing at Epcot where they had all the flowers and then they played like 60s bands would come play.
Yeah,
I saw like the Turtles and Herman's Hermits
those are
and
real bands.
Like Davy Jones. Yeah, like I saw like a bunch of people like that when I was a kid. Like my parents would go and we would go see these artists play. And the, you know, the little like half amphitheater thing that they have at Epcot.
I'm sure lots of people are going to specifically see Relient K, including possibly us. But it just doesn't seem like because it's not like you're. I mean, what's Relient K is making the money from SeaWorld. It seems like they're probably getting some sort of money up front. It's not like they're promoting the show. Like, I guess SeaWorld promotes the show. I'll have some of that iced tea, please. It looks like beer because you put it in a beer glass. It looks like flat beer.
Good green tea, huh, Dan?
Fresh brewed, wife brewed iced tea, mom brewed iced tea. Koopa can't have any.
Nope.
Well, anyway, so we'll see about that. Keep in touch with us on social media in the next week to find out if we're going.
And let us know if you're going. We
want
to hear.
If you're going. So we'll find out.
Like Relient K, can we get some media or backstage passes or something? Can we make it worth the trip to
I
try
guess
and
I just
figure out the
gotta reach out.
logistics of this in 1 week?
I guess I just got to reach out to them, but I'm real shy about that stuff. I could just
Yeah.
try it. I should have done it during the Yeah tour, but I didn't.
Yeah.
But whatever.
We're shy folks in general.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what's gonna go on with that. Everyone, just keep an eye on our social media, and we'll figure that out. Any other news? Anything else happened in the last couple weeks?
Well, there's that black eye I got from the stenographer.
The black eye.
Yeah.
You shouldn't. It sounded like you said something else.
Sorry. The black eye that I got from the
Is there a black
stenographer.
eye in this song?
No, I was just going with something other than fight.
Well, we'll talk about the song, but what kind of fights are they talking about? I mean, I don't know what the heck they're talking about. We'll
a
figure
verbal
out.
fight, maybe?
So this is a weird song, and
Physical fight.
I've disparaged this song. I guess
Way to bury the lead, Dan.
I guess we'll get into it. It is, however, one of those subcults within Relient K. There's a lot of people who love this song, just like a Curl Up and Die, where there's like which are all Bird and the B-side songs.
Are there any shipping videos to this?
No, there's no fan derivative work. So
Well, there you go. Then it's not Curl Up and Die.
no. Well, because Curl Up and Die has literally hundreds of derivative fan videos on YouTube, hundreds of covers, like over 100, and just a handful, a dozen or so, fan music videos and stuff like that. So
I
Curl Up
mean,
and Die,
this podcast introduced me to like my big fandom.
because there was a Supergirl shipping video set to Curl Up and Die. Just was like, I should check that show out.
Yeah.
And that changed your life. If this podcast did nothing else for you, it doesn't get you to SeaWorld for free. But it gets you...
No, I'm not even saying I need to get into SeaWorld for free. No. Like, I'll pay
I'm
for my
saying
ticket. I
is-
mean, I'm iffy about SeaWorld. Aren't we all iffy about SeaWorld? Nobody really wants to give them money. I don't know. Are they doing good things now? I don't know. I don't want to go into that.
The certain controversies.
Yeah.
I mean,
You know what? If they still had that Baywatch show, we'd be going.
Oh, the Baywatch Stunt Spectacular?
Yeah. I remember seeing that as a kid in the 90s.
So, as some of you may recall, during the pandemic on this podcast, during the pandemic in our real lives, we started watching Baywatch from beginning to end because it was like our comfort food 90s, late 80s show to watch throughout the pandemic. And we finished it, I think, by 20...
And the Adventures of Lois and Clark.
Right, but
The
that
New Adventures of Superman,
that flew
excuse
by
me.
because
Yeah.
those were a lot. Those were, I don't know, just 4 seasons or whatever. It was like 11 seasons of Baywatch. When there's an episode where they have in real life there was a Baywatch stunt spectacular at SeaWorld. So in the episode, it's like in the diegesis of the Baywatch episode, they're saying that some like stunt show has been inspired by the Baywatch people, because there's no TV show of Baywatch.
And they
within
go.
Baywatch, and they're like, we've been inspired by your Baywatch group that watches the Bay, so we want to make a stunt spectacular off of you guys.
And then the
they
talent in the premiere show get into some trouble, and then the Baywatch
And the
Baywatch
real
people
Baywatch
have to go,
and
and
help.
save them.
Now we know this because recently we've discovered that Samsung has a nonstop 24-hour streaming channel of Baywatch, so it's become one of our like mainstays. For a while, it's become one of the mainstays of like something to just put on in the background or put on when we leave the house.
We're switching Mike and Baby.
Okay, last time we did this, we accidentally stopped recording.
Okay, let's be
So
more
let's be
careful
really
this time.
careful. Here he comes.
Okay.
On a Patreon episode, hopefully we edited it seamlessly.
I mean, I feel like we probably hear the hands like rustling.
We just got to keep watching that counter,
Yeah,
and we
it's
got to
going up.
keep watching the ones and twos. So anyway, our Baywatch channel on Samsung TV has now become one of the mainstay background things. It used to be the Riff Tracks channel, and then for a while I had us on the Conan channel for a bit. I can't remember what other Samsung channels we had, and then we have like lots of like jazz channels on YouTube are our background channels, but now it's Baywatch.
Well, what happened is that
I'm holding the microphone now. I don't want to point it at you.
what happened was that we decided to cancel our YouTube Premium for a little bit, And it pauses after an hour and is like, are you still watching? Like, it's Netflix. And it's like, I can't just leave my background music on all day because we like to put it on when we go out for April so that, I don't know, she doesn't get bored or whatever. And now
God
it's
forbid
it's
the
over
dog
to
get
Baywatch.
bored.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what helps stem dog boredom is television. Anyway, how do we even get on this?
April's
Baywatch
good. She's
SeaWorld.
asleep.
So
Yeah.
SeaWorld. So we'll see what's going on with SeaWorld. All I need to do is I just need to try to DM Relient K, be like, hey, we've been doing a podcast about you for half a decade. Could you please get us into the turtle encounter for free? And if they had capybaras there, I'd be like, yes, let's go. The last time we went to SeaWorld was when we adopted April, which was 11 years
right,
ago.
Because
The SPCA gave us free SeaWorld tickets.
Yep. And it took us almost a year to go.
The Blackfish documentary came out in between us renting. What do you call it? Adopting.
Oh my gosh. That's one long rental if we rented April.
We leased the dog from the SPCA. When we adopted April, the Blackfish documentary came out, and then we went and right before they expired. So anyway, we're talking about the Stenographer this week, and as I was saying, this is please don't unplug the microphone. This is a song that is very weird. I struggled to say that I like it. I don't, but
We haven't been here for 2 months, and we came back with a song that we don't particularly care for.
I don't hate this song, but the thing is, I realize that a lot of people really like this song.
Oh, wow.
I'm saying, like, a lot of people really like it. This is one of those mini cults within Relient K. Smaller than a Curl Up and Die, but the Curl Up and Die subcult of Relient K is still, like, a fraction of the fandom. And there is this section of the fans who really like this song. You see it in the comments of the YouTube videos. You see it in the song meanings comments. A lot of people really like this song. It's a demo. It feels like a demo. It's really weird. I never got it when I never understood it. I never got it when the CD was new. Like back in 2008, when you and I used to ride around listening to this album, I was like, this one's weird. I feel like we used to skip it. I was like, it
was definitely a skip song. Like, if we played the Bird and the B-sides so much that it wore out, this would be the one song that was in pristine condition on that CD.
Yeah. And I'm not disparaging it. It is on a B-side collection. It's fun that it exists. And I'm really glad a lot of people get what they get out of it. I see some positive things in it, and there are things about this song that I like. And it's not a skip per se for me. It's just so strange. I mean, to this day, sorry, the only thing from Relient K I really hate is Breakfast at Timpani's, right? Like, that's the only thing I really hate. When it comes to having picked this band to talk about every song, there's not really anything that I say I hate. Like, there's songs that I didn't get or songs that I don't enjoy as much as others. Like, you know, I've said it, Local Construction is a song that I don't particularly vibe on. We talked to John Schneck in the last year, and he said it's one of his favorite Air for Free songs, and
it's a great song.
And I don't vibe on it. And I think out of like 200 songs or something, like, sorry, but you know, I'm not trying to be lukewarm on my reception to Stenographer, be too apologizing about it, but it's just a really weird song. I don't care for it. But we're going to look at what makes this song what it is. That's the point of doing this.
Like, the lyrics and even just like the demo, the music itself are a lot of concepts thrown together. And I think that's one of the things. It's kind of disjointed. Like the lyrics are perfectly decent if you like divvy them out into other songs, but put together, it's a little bit of a hodgepodge mishmash kind of thing.
I would call it wordplay salad, right?
Sure.
You hear the phrase word salad when something is kind of like overly verbose and therefore it actually comes off as kind of meaningless. I would definitely not say that this song feels meaningless, but I would say that this is wordplay salad. There's a lot of wordplay, which is a key part of Relient K's persona and Matt Thiessen's lyrical writing persona. But there's so much going on here. I wouldn't even call them mixed metaphors, but in a way they are. But it's just like so much wordplay and nothing like and every individual line, like you said, is in a vacuum, clever, cute, whatever, but all put together, it doesn't make up a interesting picture. It's very strange. It's a very strange overall picture.
Yeah. And I mean, you already know that I'm going to say I'm not a huge fan of the auto-tune empty house owl city thing at the end.
That I think we differ on. I do think.
Oh.
I think. I mean, that makes it weird. But I'm a person who likes weird bands. I'm a big They Might Be Giants fan, right? Like I like weird music. Boy,
are you ever.
I like weird music. I like things that are strange, things that take sudden left turns, things that are angular. I love describing music as angular. But the fact that, like, you know, it starts with this, like, you know, very dramatic shuffle, you know, like organ strike and then organ sustain, and then goes into this shuffling beat, and then that takes a left turn into this auto-tuned, like, programmed drum beat. Like, it feel like it's an out-of-the-box drum beat as well. It's not like a drum beat they created, but it feels like a stock, like, Pond 5 drum beat or something from some drum beat program. Like, we know for sure.
I mean, it's a demo, so it might be.
It might be, right? Like, we know for sure. I think we figured out from some people that, like, you know, a lot of the stuff in Silly Shoes comes from, like, stock music stuff of the time, like pre-internet stock music libraries, like a lot of those things from Silly Shoes. So this could be like a literal stock beat that he laid down in this demo. But the fact that it takes that weird left turn into this very dated for the time. Like, I know we have a lot of young listeners, but I want to make sure to mention that in 2008, when the Stenographer came out, like, that sound of the back half of this song where it suddenly takes this, like, disco turn, that was dated for the time. So I think there's a cheekiness and a satire in the choice to do that. I don't believe when I hear that, it's weird, but that's not a drawback for me from this song. Because when I hear that, I'm like, that's so weird and so out of left turn and so anachronistic and so, like, dated at the time that I'm like, this has clearly got some sort of satirical idea in it to suddenly break out into this thing. And yeah, it does evoke an Owl City, and Owl City did exist by then, and he had worked with Adam Young by that point. But it doesn't specifically, the drum beat part doesn't specifically feel like Owl City. Maybe there are other Owl City demos that do have that feeling or something. But also, like, the wordplay salad that I referred to in this song, the overabundance, you know, let me focus on Relient K's music first. Like, Relient K is known for their wordplay. Their wordplay usually kind of ties together and isn't over-reliant. It kind of peppers and flavors songs. Whereas many Owl City songs, past, like, the ones you know, the Fireflies and stuff like that, like, of some of the other ones we've dug into and checked out throughout the course of this podcast, are very heavy in the wordplay, like this song. So I wondered if this song was just very inspired by Adam Young's specific... You know, Adam Young seemed to take a lot of inspiration from Matt Thiessen, and now maybe the Stenographer and its lyrics take inspiration back from Adam Young, and then maybe the drum beat thing being a demo, maybe this was going to be a little more polished later. Like, I'd like to hear what the finished song would have been like. Like, would it have been a lot more polished? Would it have been changed up? Would some of the lyrics, would the lyrics have been finished? The lyrics don't fully feel like they're finished. Like, the ideas feel complete in each line, but tying together into a cohesive song, it doesn't feel like it's really done yet. And then I just wonder, like, what would, you know, if it was like, there's a lot of programming on Air for free, and there's some auto-tune on Air for free. I wonder if you took, like, the final polish of an Air for free and brought it to this song, and this was like a B-side for Air for free, what would that sound like? Because I think that whole back half of the song would sound a little bit different. It would sound a lot different. I think it's a stock beat that he used. So I think they would have programmed their own beat that would have been more appropriate.
Speaking a little bit also about the music is that the intro sounds a lot like Swing Swing by the All American Rejects, or you also pointed out it's also a little bit like the opening of Five Score.
Right, and that's the other thing is that I think there's a lot going on in this song, because not only does it feel like Owl City, like Ouroboros. It feels like the snake eating its tail thing is more of a negative, but not only does it feel like a feedback loop of Adam Young inspired by Matt Thiessen. Here's Matt Thiessen inspired by Adam Young. Possibly. That's the feeling I have. That might not be accurate. But not only is it that, but what's the thing you just said? What was your last note? Oh, 5 score. But it also feels like maybe there are some ideas, or maybe this song actually did exist from the 5 score era. Because
It could have.
When you think of that opening track to the 5 score album, that is satirical. That is tongue-in-cheek. That is not... It's a very silly song. And to talk about recent events, like, I guess I just got to mention the elephant in the room. That opening track on 5 score is about a famous presidential assassin. Just mentioning the elephant in the room. Yes, there was an assassination attempt on a former U.S. president between this episode and the last one. But that has nothing to do with this. I just want to mention...
Wait, what are you talking about?
Oh, you don't watch the news at all?
No.
That's right. We've been in the baby cave. We don't watch television. We don't want him watching television or looking at the news. But anyway.
You watch so much Dragon Ball Z and let him look at it. So much Dragon Ball Z.
It's not
house.
Dragon Ball Z right now. It's Dragon Ball
Whatever.
Super.
Oh, good
It's been
Lord.
Dragon Ball Super for the last couple months. And now I can't watch it around her anymore because I'm at the Universal Survival arc. And the whole point of it is that all the different multiverses come together for a big tournament, and the ones that lose get erased from existence. Now,
It's so depressing.
Now, spoiler warning, if you don't realize this, I mean, spoiler warnings for Dragon Ball Super, they're all going to get wished back at the end with the Dragon Balls. It's so obvious, and I already know that for a fact. I've never watched the Dragon Ball Super anime, but I read the manga. I know what's going to happen. That's obviously going to happen. They're not going to leave, like, trillions of billions of alleged characters, cartoon characters, anime characters throughout the multiverse be erased. They're going to undo it. But I'm sitting here watching this, and then like a universe gets erased, and it's meant as like you're supposed to be like, oh, that's like crazy and sad, but whatever, the heroes are going to figure it out. But Jessica's like, this is existential and it's freaking me out. I'm like, that was like a goat man and like a rabbit guy just like had karate chops and laser blasted each other, and one of them lost, and now one of them got erased.
Man, throwing it back to Supergirl, Crisis was rough.
So anyway, there are threads of this song, The Stenographer, that I feel like are left over from 5 score, because with 5 score on, I mean, I gotta look it up now. What's that opening 5 score song called? Do you think I would have put this in my notes? But of course I didn't. We have a baby. I don't have time for notes. No, I have some notes here. 5, not 5 iron, 5 score. I was
gonna say come right out and say it, but is that it? No,
that's plead the 5th.
Thank you.
Plead the 5th Relient K lyrics. Not play the 5th, but hopefully it'll figure that out. Yeah, plead the 5th lyrics. So we'll go through the Stenographer lyrics later, but just to look at this. That night in the theater, an impersonator died, and Mr. Booth was tried. I mean, these, like, you could almost take these lyrics from the Plead the 5th track, and you could probably set these to the rhythm and melody of the Stenographer. I just kept the truth inside. And the courtroom, and they mentioned the courtroom, and in the courtroom the judge will not catch wind of this. Up there on the stand, I plead the 5th. There's so much DNA of the Stenographer that feels like it's left over from Plead the 5th that I think that can't be a coincidence. And I wonder, also the opening, that whole opening organ sustain also has feelings of deathbed. I feel like this is just like loose change left over from some songs from the 5 score era, and also maybe some work that he did with Adam Young. And so I guess this loose change coalesced into a whole roll of, quarters that he could put together into a demo, and that they felt would round out the very back half of Bird and the B-sides. It's a weird track. It's worth being out there, but it is strange, and I think there's a lot of leftover DNA from other songs. But yeah, I think maybe like there's also a possibility. Whatever this song was, did you find any information about what the song actually was and why it was a demo?
Nope.
Okay, well, we can only be left to speculate, and maybe other people out there have information, or maybe we can learn this from Relient K someday when we're with them riding the Kraken at SeaWorld together, and we're interviewing them on the Kraken at SeaWorld. I don't even know if it just sounds like a SeaWorld roller coaster.
There is a SeaWorld roller coaster, or was a SeaWorld roller coaster called the Kraken in Florida. I'm not sure about San Diego.
Yeah.
Would you like to know a little bit about stenography?
Yes, we'll go over that in just a second.
Okay.
Keep that at hand. So
there is a Reddit, and we'll dive into it because I didn't preview it too much before, but about what the second verse means. So maybe someone is able to provide a little bit about
we're gonna go
what the song itself is about
line.
in the deep dive.
So I wonder. So my working theory now is that this is leftover material from the writing for 5 Score, and that it couldn't fit in there, and then it got put together, and then maybe this is a demo from that time, or put together, or fixed up right before being put on Bird and the B-sides. So I wonder where this would have fit on a 5 Score, if this would have been an alternate opening to the album. That little, that weird little disco beat at the end is a little undignified, but maybe that, given that 5 Score at that point was the least humorous of all of Relient K's albums, right? Like the first 3 have a lot of humor and seems to lack some of the humor. It's mostly buried deeper. But then by 5 Score, it's a more or less very serious album, except for that opening track.
Crayons Can Melt on Us on that album. I would say that is the most serious album to that point.
All right. Well, I'm just wondering if maybe this could have been if Stenographer could have been an opening track for 5 Score, but it was a little too silly with the disco thing at the end. But that whole, the way that Plead the Fifth opens slowly, and this opens slowly with that organ strike, with that organ sustain, I feel like there's something here that relates to these songs. So that would definitely be a question. It never made it past the demo stage. I did see a note where someone's like, can't wait for the full song. And I'm like, oh, keep waiting. That comment's from 15 years ago. So yeah, I want to hear about stenographers. We'll get into the lyrics. I as well have some information about stenographers.
Ooh.
Did you want to watch a video about stenography at all, or
sure. Maybe that's actually a better bite-sized version than going through Wikipedia, because a stenographer as a career in and of itself does not have its own Wikipedia page. It's like shorthand has a Wikipedia page and stenotype has a Wikipedia page, but not sort of combined to make a stenographer.
So I was kind of familiar with the concept of stenography, and also I completely forgot, but years ago, Sam Henson, our listener and friend, she messaged us and was like, a friend of mine is dating a stenographer in real life. Do you want me to do you want to talk to them for that episode? I was like, oh yeah, for sure. And then it's been now years later, and I didn't remember that it was Sam Henson. But luckily, I could go through DMs on Instagram and just search the word stenographer, and it searched the chats. And I found the chat, and I'm like, oh, it's too late. I'm not going to ask. But maybe in the future, I don't even know if Sam Henson's friend is still dating that stenographer, but maybe if they are, in the future, we'll have a special Sadie Hawkins Pod bonus episode where we interview a stenographer. I was familiar with the concept of stenography more than, I think we all know a stenographer, maybe we should all know that a stenographer is the person sitting in a courtroom typing down everything that's being said. One thing I don't know specifically, but it seems to be the case, is that you can't just audio record every court case. I'm guessing that it has something to do with the laws in the particular counties and states, and probably the types of court and the types of law do or don't allow taped recording or video to be taken inside the courtroom.
Video is not allowed in most courtrooms, I think.
You do see video in plenty of courtrooms. I don't just mean
big high profile cases. Sure, but that's why they have those courtroom painters and whatnot.
Yeah, but I was just about to say, yes, big, well-known televised courtrooms, court TV, That's one thing. But I think also a lot of other courtrooms, as we'll see, and you're seeing it on the TV just since we're on the couch, that top left one. That we have 2 videos about stenography to watch. There are courtrooms that are set up with video cameras, like hidden in the wall, not hidden, but out of the way in the walls, and are just taking a full view of the courtroom from a couple angles. That exists. Some courtrooms do record. Like I said, I think it also depends on the type of law, because there's so many different types of law. There's civil cases and criminal cases and family law and all those kind of and other types of things I can't even think of. So I think it depends on the type of law, the type of jurisdiction. Can they or can they not record? So you need stenographers to write these things down. As we'll learn in a second, I'll just let the video explain it. This video is uploaded by Half As Interesting is the name of the YouTube channel. This has 3.7 million views from 2 years ago, and the video is called How Stenographers Type at 300 Words Per Minute. And then I'll finish explaining why I was a little bit more, why I'd had some hands-on visual experience with stenography when I was a kid.
You probably type at about 40 words per minute. That's the average typing speed, and on average, you're probably pretty average. But hey, I don't know you. If you write a lot for your job, you're probably closer to 60 or 70 words per minute. If you work a dispatch position of some kind, then you're probably required to type 80 to 95 words per minute. And if you're Stella Pahunas, the fastest typist in history, which you are not because she is a dead woman in Ohio and Ohio does not yet have access to the internet, then you can type at 216 words per minute.
Ooh, shots fired at Ohio.
Damn, why would you bring that to our Relient K podcast?
I should have said trigger warning for all you Ohioans.
Ohioans.
Ohioites.
I think it's just Ohioans.
Ohioans.
Is it not?
I have no idea. Now we got to look up a YouTube video on what are Ohio residents called.
Do we?
But here's where it gets a little weird. If you're a stenographer, the person who transcribes what's being said in a courtroom or on live television, then you can probably type anywhere between 225 and 360 words per minute, which is faster than most people speak. So, hold on. If Stella was the fastest typist in history, how is it that that little old lady in your local courtroom can type even faster? Well, it's because she's cheating. And by cheating, I mean using really cool special techniques that I'm going to spend the rest of this video explaining. The art of writing words really super fast dates all the way back to ancient Greece.
Okay, we'll skip this part. This is a 5-minute video, and I just want to get... So he talks about the history of shorthand. So stenography has its history in shorthand, and from shorthand we get things like the ampersand and contractions and stuff like that. But shorthand, it's also like actually writing something in a way that is not easily readable to your actual language. So in stenography, they figured out this new way of doing this particular thing.
All you need to know is that phonetic transcription is cool and normal letters are lame, and that's eventually how we ended up with this thing, the stenograph. This is the futuristic gizmo that can type words faster than people speak them. Now, the stenograph might look kind of like a normal keyboard that someone got a great deal on because it was missing most of its keys, but it doesn't work like a normal keyboard at all. Sort of like with Pitman shorthand, the stenograph doesn't spell words with letters, it spells them with syllables.
Oh, that's right. One of the most famous shorthands is called Pitman shorthand.
Oh.
I missed that, but do you think that this... So,
this is the stenographer?
Do you think Brian Pittman is the stenographer?
Yes.
Although he does refer to the stenographer as a her, so we'll get into the deep dive in the lyrics, but maybe that's just to throw you off the trail.
Never know. I mean, I feel like most stenographers are women, are they not? It sort of seems like a very lady-dominated...
It does, yeah.
...sort of profession.
I mean, my story about a stenographer is just that, so... But I think you got about everything from the... Hold on, let's see if the video explains a little more.
With syllables. It's only concerned with the individual sounds that make up...
So I kind of chopped that up and not pausing, but...
Wait. We're getting into it now. This is the interesting part.
So a stenography keyboard, if you've ever seen it, is a really small keyboard. I don't know how many keys, but I'm looking at my computer. Like a regular key has the whole alphabet and then a whole bunch of numbers and letters. What's that, like, got to be like 50 keys or something? I've never thought about it on a regular ASCII keyboard. A stenography keyboard has something in the realm of like 12, 20 keys.
Oh, wow.
And this video will explain it, but I'll just kind of sum it up, is that basically a stenography keyboard is you're basically typing in a sequence of those keys to record the syllables of the word. And like a shorthand or like other, languages that branch off of languages like, like shorthand or like
That's fascinating. That boggles my mind.
yeah, also like what do you call it? Sign language. It's taking the words and breaking them down to syllables. So like certain like a chord. Actually, this might tie into the music pretty well. He mentions chords. Here, let's play the video.
It's only concerned with the individual sounds that make up a word and not actually how they're spelled. But how does it type in whole syllables? Well, basically, the keys are broken up into 3 sections. These consonants represent the beginning of a syllable, these consonants represent the ending of a syllable, and these vowels represent, well, vowels.
So on the left side of the keyboard, you have 7 keys that are the first part of the syllable. On the right side of the keyboard, and then there's like some sort of star button in the middle. Then on the right side you have 10 keys that represent the end of the syllable or the word, and down at the bottom you have A, O, E, and U. So there's not even an I. And basically you strike these keys together like guitar chord, like piano chords. Like you're not just typing one letter at a time, you're typing them together like combinations to type an entire word at the same time.
If that sounds confusing to you, don't worry. It's going to get way more confusing, so you can just kind of zone out now.
Hey, thank you very much, Half is Interesting. That's what our podcast is all about. People zoning out. One of the hosts zones out when the other host is talking all the time, and it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
I do that to Jessica. I'll be editing an episode, and I'll be like, oh, I wasn't listening to her say what she's saying right now.
Yep. I can usually tell while I'm saying it.
When a stenographer types a syllable, they don't just press a single key, they press all the keys that make up the syllable at once. The letters at the beginning, the letters at the end, and the vowel in the middle. It's kind of like a chord on a piano if every piano composition sounded like a Legal Eagle video. To show you how fast this is, let's say someone in the courtroom just said, I learned how to commit arson on Half is Interesting. On a normal keyboard, that would take 52 strokes to type out. On a stenograph, it would only take 11. Now, 2 quick things to point out about this translation. Since there are only a handful of keys on either side of the keyboard, some letters are created by combining 2 other letters.
And there's only so far we can get with this on an audio podcast, but now he's showing a graph of like a bunch of graphs of the stenograph keyboard, pointing to arrows from the words and showing what keystrokes made the word I, what keystrokes made the word learned, what keystrokes made the word how and to and commit and arson. So it's very interesting, and that's how they're able to type so quickly. Now, my story is that my neighborhood best friend growing up in Burlington, Massachusetts, I've mentioned him before, his name was Michael Goldberg. His mother was taking a stenography course to become a stenographer. I don't know what ever happened of that. I don't know if she was just taking the course or if she ever pursued that as a career. But I remembered when I would go over their house to play or whatever, she would be practicing stenography in their kitchen. So that's the first time I saw a stenographer. It's the only time I saw a stenography keyboard up close, and I was like, what is this? Because it literally looks like an alien language, or it looks like Latin or something, because it looks like the same letters, but like it's everything melted down to just whatever they said, 17 keys or something. So it's a really, I mean, I don't know if you have any other, I don't think we'll get into it right now, but I guess you train your brain to just know how to type these things fast. I'm sure it's an overwhelming thing to think to start to train, but you just got to start doing it. We as millennials trained our brain for a short amount of time to learn how to type texts on a 9 numerical keyboard.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
We used to type text messages by, if you wanted to type the C, you type the 2 3 times. Then you want an A, you type you wait just a beat, and then you type the 2 again. And then you want the N, well, that's whatever, so I'm spelling the word can. Like, that's what we learned.
If you go to your keypad on your phone, you can still see that because, you know, you have phone numbers where they're like, hey, call 1-800-LAW or whatever, and then you have to know what those spell out.
That's the thing is, like, letters on the numerical phone pad have existed since forever. And I think they were originally meant strictly for... I don't know this for certain, but I feel like they were originally meant just for like spelling out phone numbers in easier ways. But then once electronic phone trees came into prominence, you could start to have people be like, to look up the name of the movie you want to hear. You want to hear what times it's playing. Press the first 3 letters represented on your touchtone keypad, and then that's what you do on movie phone. Or you're calling up someone. They say like type in the number of your support ticket so we can send you to the correct person. Or type in your credit card number, your bank account number, your social security number on this phone tree so we can send you to the right person. I remember when I was a kid, W and Z, I think, weren't even on the keypad. They weren't even on the phone keypad at all when I was a kid because there was just no need for them. And the way they did it. Okay, so
they're all on the 9 now.
Yeah, they're all on the 9. So which one wasn't available? I'll have to look it up. But when you look at a phone keypad now, it's ABC on the 2, D, E, F on the 3, the 4, the 5, the 6. Then on 7, you have 4 letters. On 8, you have 3 letters. On 9, you have 4 more letters because they added the Z later in our lifetime. Like, I think by the time you were a kid, they finally put the Z officially on there. Because originally, when you divided the alphabet by 8, right? Because there's no numbers on the 1. There's no letters on the 1, right? So when you divide the alphabet by 8, you were too short. So the original solution to that was just leave 2 letters out. But then eventually we're like, well, no, now we're using phone trees and like people have Z in their name and movies have Z in their name, so we have to put those back. So they just forced them onto the 9 and the 7. Maybe it was the Q. I think the Q and the Z weren't on the. I think if you go look in go look on an old phone, maybe your grandma's house or something she has like a phone on the wall, and look, and there's probably no Q on the 7 and no Z on the 9. Anyway, so I have no idea but my point was, I'm sure it takes a lot of studying and a lot of practice, and like you don't become good at something until you do 10,000 hours of it. I'm sure once you've done 10,000 hours of stenography, you're good at it. But for us, we learned how to type text messages on a 9-key button. So that's basically what a stenographer did, but a longer take.
Yeah, and like heaven forbid you had to write something where it had the same letter or another letter on that same key, because you had to wait. You
had to pause for a second.
Pause, wait for it to decide to move the cursor over that you had finished typing in the number.
Yep. So I have one more stenography thing to watch you, and unfortunately, I already let you see this, and I shouldn't have.
Oh, this is the stupid SNL thing.
No, actually. Well, I've got 2 more we could do. So we won't do the court. There is a comedy sketch from Saturday Night Live called The Court Stenographer, and it's Will Arnett. What's his name? Will Forte. Nope.
Fred Armisen.
Fred Armisen. It's Fred Armisen playing like kind of a frumpy old lady, but she brings a actual typewriter, like an old-fashioned typewriter, into the courtroom to do the stenography, and then John Hamm must have been the host. This is from 10 years ago. It's a little painful. I mean, I looked at the comments, and just like this song this week, there's a lot of people who really like the court stenographer sketch. I did not laugh once. I found it really painful. I definitely like the Relient K stenographer song more than the court stenographer sketch from SNL.
I mean, it's no you like it a Juice, Dan.
Oh my gosh. In the Adam Sandler days, there was a sketch called You Like It a Juice, and it's these 2 guys go to a Greek restaurant. They go to like a gyro factory or a gyro factory, a restaurant. And Jason Alexander was the host, and he's like, yeah, my hero's good, but I like more of the meat juice with it. It's a little dry. So he goes up to the counter and he's like, hey, can I get more of that juice? And the whole sketch is just all the different staff members coming up to him. Adam Sandler, what's his name, he was a writer on Conan O'Brien, and he did the Saturday TV Funhouse cartoons. That guy does a character in it.
Rob Schneider.
They're all just these Greek guys, and they keep going up to Jason Alexander going, you like it a juice? The whole time for like 8 minutes. When I was a kid, I thought that was the funniest effing sketch on Saturday Night Live. They did a sequel to it. It didn't get they didn't make a You Like It a Juice movie, but I thought that was the funniest sketch. I showed it to Jessica.
It's no You Like It a Pepper.
No,
it's the same damn concept.
It's the same concept, but You Like It a Pepper You Like It a Pepper has heart.
It does.
That's the thing, is you like it to juice is just like, it's just that same thing nailed down over and over until that sketch ends with David Spade walking in as himself saying, can we please just end this sketch? And then the character's like, you want to end the sketch? It doesn't go anywhere. No ending. Like, they had to like write themselves out in a meta way to end that sketch. But the pepper sketch, you want more pepper? That has heart. It has this old man who's looking to pass down. Dana Carvey wants to pass down the pepper grinder to his. I'm gonna tear up. It's so sweet. And then they get fired by Better Call Saul's brother. Speaking of the stenographer, how come there's no shipping videos for not Sandy Wexler? Now I'm thinking of other Adam Sandler things. What's her name? Kim Wexler?
Yeah.
See, I'm mixing up Sandy Wexler, which is a Adam Sandler Netflix movie. Kim Wexler and Saul Goodman. How come there's no shipping videos for them set to this? That would work so good, especially to the lyric was like, Smith and Wesson Jr. was a son of a gun. He held his nose up to my head, and then you show when what's his name gets assassinated. Spoilers. You don't know who I'm talking about. Anyway, if you haven't seen the show, people are obviously gonna die. You know who people are gonna die. I didn't say who it was. You know who I'm talking about.
Of course.
Yeah. Anyway, stenography. Okay, so here's we'll take our break in just a minute. Here's this last video, and we're not watching the SNL stenographer court sketch. We're gonna watch this one. It's the one you see up there on the left where the lady is speaking into this Bane mask. It's so stupid.
Oh yeah.
This video is so strange because oh shoot, hold on. I don't need to speak to my phone. Okay, here it is. Where is it? Okay, there it is. So this is called Riverbend Films. This is the McLaughlin court stenography video. And what's very strange there's multiple things strange about this YouTube video. Well, two things. One is that the video drops out multiple times. Like, they accidentally deleted some of the stuff on the timeline, but then exported it anyway. Or maybe they had a track accidentally X'd out and like certain sections just disappear. It just cuts to black.
Yeah, that can happen.
But what this video teaches you,
another feature of the
I'll just play it in the room.
Special technology available to the stenographer. In the McLaughlin courtroom, we have the three major methods of making a court record, which are stenotype, voice writing, and digital recording. The court reporter writes in real time.
Okay, so this is the other thing about stenography. Is like, when I was a kid and Mrs. Goldberg was learning how to be a stenographer, it was like, I think it was on like carbon paper. It would like, yeah, because you've seen it in a million movies. The stenographer, read that back, and then they look at the paper, right? They pull the paper like it's receipt paper from the back of the stenographer, from the back of the stenotype, and they read it back to the courtroom. They don't do that anymore. Now a stenography thing, it's still the same stenography keyboard, but now it's computerized.
Sure.
And as this video shows, like the stenography machine, the stenotype itself has a little screen, but then the stenotype is also connected directly to a PC, which is also taking that stenotype shorthand, like sub-English language, and immediately converting it into an easily read English thing. Because I think in the past, I don't know this for a fact, but I think in the past, when a courtroom would adjourn, they'd take that receipt paper out of the stenograph and probably give it to some clerk who had to like transcribe it back into normal English.
Sure.
But now the PCs automatically do that.
As she preps and translated into English almost simultaneously.
There you go.
A court reporter.
I'm going to skip ahead though, because we've learned everything we can about stenography.
Well, I don't know about that. I wouldn't go that far.
We've learned as much as I feel like we need to learn about classic stenography. In the third part of this video, they talk about court recording, which we already talked about, and I saw this where they have cameras out of the way here and there throughout the courtroom, and there's actually someone like directing it, but not in a fun, like, creative video way. Like, it's very important work. Like, they're making sure everything can be seen, but they're also writing down notes about the court proceedings while it's being recorded. So they're not like a director in like the creative sense. But this thing is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. It's a speak and type thing where the lady is like holding How would you describe that? I said Bane mask. It's not
It
really
looks
like a
like
Bane.
she's holding a vacuum up to her mouth.
She's holding a
Over her
vacuum
mouth.
into her mouth and looking at a computer screen. And what she's doing is...
And formatting instructions into the mask,
I have to
which
rewind.
silences the and the Stenographer Corporation.
Okay.
And the software she is using is Eclipse by Advantage Software.
Oh.
Voice writing is where the court reporter uses a stenomask that is connected to a computer, and the reporter repeats every word that is said.
What's
who
the
said
point?
it, including punctuation.
Why would you do that? Then just record it and have it do, like, I know that it hasn't been perfected yet, but they've had that since the 90s. The, talk and it types it out for you.
Yeah. I guess because you can't have... If the courtroom can't have audio recording of any kind, video or audio recording... That's so strange. You probably can't have the room because what if someone's like away from the microphone? What if it writes it down wrong? So the stenographer is repeating every word directly into this weird vacuum mask, and the computer is writing it down. But these are like older style speaking types where you have to train your own voice to it, unlike nowadays where some people with accents and stuff and slurred language can't be understood by their Siri, but for the most part, Siri is trained to understand most people. These are older PC language type and speaking type things, so you have to train your own style of speaking directly to it. It's still, what a waste. It doesn't make any sense. Like, this was the future of stenography. I will share this specific portion, because you just have to see this to believe it. I will share this specific portion on our social media. But that's everything I know about stenography. What else do you know about stenography? Who's taken transcripts? I think in the future, the stenography courses should be taught off of this episode. So now that I think it's important that we figured out all this stuff about stenography, because when we come back, we're going to do a deep dive into the lyrics being what they are.
Sounds good.
Thanks very much for listening to Sadie Hawkins Pod, and we want to take a moment to give an extra special thanks to our paid patrons, who include Tamara, Luke, Maggie, Matthew, Bjorn, Isaac, Kindle, Joshua, Daniel, Jay, Michael, Samantha, Jimmy Eat Pod, This Might Be a Podcast, and Tucker.
If you join at any paid level on Patreon, you'll receive 2 bonus episodes every month and instant access to almost 5 years of bonus episodes, including us reading through every chapter of the Complex Infrastructure book, the K is for Karaoke songs, other projects, and works related to Relient K, and many other subjects.
And exciting news is that we have lowered the cost of the tiers at our Patreon. What was previously $10 and $5 are now $8 and $3. At both tiers, you get every bonus episode, and at the $8 tier, you get our uncensored, unbleeped episodes.
Fuck yeah!
So join now at patreon.com/Sadie Hawkins Pod. Everyone quiet, someone woke up.
Yeah.
Hi, Cooper.
It's okay, babies. Let's go back to
So we're gonna have to ASMR the rest of this episode.
So, going through the lyrics, and we'll go through
You can speak up a little.
on Genius. There's only one annotation on here. It's from verse 2. It's the only one that I don't really necessarily feel like needs to be annotated, because we all know what it means, but apparently not a lot of people were confused by this lyric, which is Smith & Wesson Jr. was a son of a gun, because Smith & Wesson is a very famous gun company.
Yes. And so there's the phrase "son of a gun," which is like not even an insult. Sometimes it's an insult, but other times like, you son of a gun, like you great old goose, you fun little fella. And so he's like having a character be a literal son of a gun, Smith & Wesson Jr.
So in case you don't know, Smith & Wesson Brands, Inc., S&W, is an American firearm manufacturer headquartered in Maryville, Tennessee.
Sure. Now, I mean, we're getting ahead, but no, we'll come back to it. I'll talk about the Smith & Wesson as we go through the lyrics. So that's the only descriptor. Overall with the song, like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't know, is this about a lady? Is this about a very special kind of lady? When I hear about, like, because what's the opening lyric? I got in a fight. No, you read it because you got the phone.
I got in a fight with a stenographer. Afterwards, she read me like a book.
Okay, So let's pause there for a second. So the stenographer is a she. So it's like, oh, is this about God or a girl? Well, apparently it's about a girl. Now, is it about a romantic interest? When I think of a stenographer and being a girl that you got in a fight with, one thought that crosses my mind, but I have no other proof that and I don't vibe on the song being totally about this. But if this is kind of like a thought salad, that maybe this section could be about like when you have a girlfriend or your wife or whatever, when you have that special lady in your life and they just have that tendency to remember every word you say and hold it against you. You know what I mean? When you get in a fight with your loved one, with your significant other, and they just know everything that you said like a stenographer. Now,
Yeah, because women listen.
yeah. Now, right away, in terms of like, this is a goofy, fun little song. A lot of people love the wordplay. I like a lot of the wordplay here. But right off the bat, lending to the fact that this is a demo, you have some mixed metaphor because he says he got in a fight with a stenographer and then she read him like a book. I'm like, okay, well, those are all figures of speech that you're spinning off in wordplay, but stenographers have nothing to do with books. Right? Stenographers don't write books. I mean, a stenographer in their personal time may write or read a book, but when you're like doing wordplay, talking about reading a book has nothing to immediately do with a stenographer, except like a stenographer writes things and a stenographer reads back what they write. So yes, they will read back what they wrote, but I think that just kind of lends to the demo-ness of this, that the metaphor is mixed and the metaphor is not in and of itself totally solid.
Yeah, I feel like maybe you could have done something about like, well, I guess not really. I was going to say reading to rights because that also isn't, so that's some legalese you could throw in there.
Yeah, that's another, it's just some more legalese, but yeah, reading my rights back, and reading my wrongs back.
Right. I feel like you're definitely on it with like it being, when somebody can like remember and, read, everything back to you, like they have the receipts of everything that you said. I think that you're pretty on track with that one.
Okay.
So I got in a fight with a stenographer. Afterwards, she read me like a book, and I had tried to get along with her, but my temperament was quickly overlooked.
That I don't really get.
Yeah, that throws me as well, but my temperament was quickly overlooked. So you had a good or a bad temper in this situation.
His temperament was overlooked, so she didn't care about him. It feels like if this is like an emotional fight between a guy and a girl, that if his temperament is overlooked, that, again, lending to the demo-ness and the kind of shakiness of these lyrics, like we've dropped the wordplay in those second two lines. There's no wordplay specifically about stenographers or courtrooms or anything like that. I mean, maybe in a really deep sense, but when your temperament is overlooked, like your temperament means your disposition, your feelings, your current emotion. What's your temperament? Your temperament. So your feelings were overlooked, but then also but my temperament was quickly overlooked. Putting those words in a vacuum, it doesn't immediately spring to mind exactly.
It definitely
what that
throws
means.
me. Yeah. Chorus 1. On the weekends, we can sneak into this courtroom, and you'll offer me some sort of bargain play.
So, I mean, I'm just grasping at straws here, but thinking about, is this about a guy and a girl who are in some sort of relationship and they're fighting? On the weekends, we can sneak into this courtroom. The sneak into this courtroom thing is just a bit of fantasy wordplay to say, like, on the weekends, we're together and we're spending all our time together on Saturday and Sunday, and we're going to make up for the fight we had Thursday night. We're going to have the whole weekend together, so let's work out that fight we had on Thursday. And we'll have a plea deal. Also, so the word plea is in here. Plead the Fifth is the name of that track that I talked about. That track mentions a courtroom. I really think the DNA of this song and Plead the Fifth are somehow closely related. I think somehow these were probably written around the same time for the same idea. I mean, I'm getting into deep like conspiracy theory territory here, but we know that like Deathbed is part of a bigger meta narrative in Thiessen's head, right? Like the whole family tree of that guy from Deathbed. So if like Plead the Fifth has some part of that, maybe this Stenographer, and then what's the Run-In plays some part of that as well on Air for Free. Maybe this song, the Stenographer, is a much more abstract song, but maybe this also plays in some way into that. Maybe that's part of the. Maybe this song was in some way part of the larger rock opera that he was supposed to.
I could totally see that, especially with the fact that that the next verse really doesn't fit. It feels like a totally different song. Like it feels like we're talking about someone entirely different.
Okay.
Verse 2. Yeah, Smith and my phone just reset for some reason. Yeah, Smith and Wesson Jr. was a son of a gun. It's so weird to say Wesson and not Weston. He pressed his nose up to my head. Yeah, I was sweating bullets, but I dodged the one that was not as much sweat as was lead.
This feels like a shower thought song.
Right.
Like it's very playful and cute, but like on further examination doesn't make any sense. Like Smith and Wesson Jr. So Smith and Wesson Jr. That sounds like two people. But he said he was a son of a gun. So it's in the singular. So
I think
the guy's name is Smith and Wesson Jr. That's his name.
Yeah, and I think we generally are maybe even just talking about a gun here, since it says he pressed his nose up to my head, like the nose of the gun.
The nose of a gun. Yeah. Like a snub-nosed gun.
Right. Yeah, I was sweating bullets, obviously.
Sweating bullets.
But exactly. Man, why are we not reviewing that song instead?
Hello, me.
It's the sweating.
Hello, stenographer. It's the real stenographer.
Yeah, I was sweating bullets, but I dodged the one that was not as much sweat as was lead. So it's about dodging a bullet. This is 4 sentences. This is a full paragraph to say, hey, I dodged a bullet with that one.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about the phrase like, oh, I dodged a bullet. So
I mean, he literally says I dodged that one. I was sweating bullets, but I dodged that one.
And it's lead. It's not so much like, I get that there's double meaning there, like to say something is lead, like the bullet was lead towards you, but it was also lead because it was a metal bullet, not sweat.
Right, because he was sweating bullets
and these
that weren't
all
sweat; they were lead.
And these are all cute ideas, but I just don't feel like they are coalescing into a singular song, which is why this is a demo.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like you could even take this verse, but you could parse out these lines, and they would work better to flesh out like a full song that was sort of on its own.
Yeah.
I'm getting some like Rocky Raccoon vibes as well in here.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Chorus 2. Oh, I still love you. Oh, I still love you. Though I know that you want me dead. And when I turn my other cheek, I will beg and I'll plea that this time you might just kiss it instead. So we're turning the other cheek and hoping that you might just give me a kiss instead of fighting.
Like I said, it's wordplay salad.
It is.
It's a lot of things. It's not. I don't think it's meant necessarily to lead you to a singular thought, to a singular idea. This is not literal Thiessen. This is very abstract. This is.
Yeah.
But it's evocative, but it's just not leading to one cohesive thing. Now I see YouTube comments, which we may or may not read, and there's song meanings that you might have where people are like, this part's so clever and that line's so clever, and lots of people who say I love this song, but I just don't like see it forming into a cohesive idea.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It doesn't need to be a narrative. I'm not saying like I need to understand exactly what he's talking about or exactly what he's singing about. Like I don't know exactly what he's singing about in Plead the Fifth, but I think Plead the Fifth comes together into a tone, like a lyrical tone that feels of a piece. Like all of the songs, thinking of other abstract Relient K songs, of which there aren't really that many, but a few on Air for Free, and a lot, not Relient K, but Matt Thiessen and the Earthquakes. Like, those... I mean,
I remember when we did Where Do I Go From Here, the first song, Off-Burn the B-Sides, you had a hard time wrapping your head around that one.
It was just that it was the first time where it wasn't obvious what he was singing about. But then I realized, oh, he's singing about the same relationship from Forget and Not Slow Down. He's singing about a relationship. Where do I go from here now that this relationship is starting to fall apart? But the fact that, like, unlike a lot of other Relient K songs where there are threads that lead you along and things that help guide you to not get lost in the woods, we hadn't yet hit a song. This is still in the single digit episodes. We hadn't yet hit a song where it, like, there's no immediate obvious thing in the song. So that's not even that abstract, really. Like, that there's not like a lot of wordplay in that one.
Outro, because this is my story, and like the glue on the binding, I'm sticking to it. Again, like, because this is my story and like the glue on the binding, I'm sticking to it. That belongs in the same song as Afterwards She Read Me Like a Book. Yeah. You know, it's like there's some great ideas in here that just would work better in other areas. If you want to implore me to change my tune, well, I just won't do it. Because this is my story, and like the glue on the binding, I'm sticking to it. If you want to implore me to change my tune, well, I just won't do it. And well, he's not going to change his tune, and
he's not going to work on the tune, as far as we know, because no further demo or final version of this song was ever released. But then, like, again, mixing the word salad metaphors, putting everything together, like,
and then you bring
suddenly
tunes
he
into
mentions
it.
Tunes.
Yeah.
There's been no mention of wordplay for musicalness, but there's been no wordplay of music, and there's been no tying these ideas together to music. So just at the very end, and I know change your tune is a phrase you'll hear in like detective novels or in investigations or in police work, but it's an unofficial phrase. And yeah, so maybe it's loosely tied to the world of legality, but it's a lot of specific legal references and courtroom references, and then just at the end you say change my tune, and there's nothing that ties that together. I mean, other than he's singing in auto-tune and that's changing his tune, but I think that's just more of a
that's a good point. Yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about that. We have song meanings if you're interested.
I am definitely interested because I looked at these myself.
Okay. So the first one, 16 years ago, and song meanings changed the way that they look a little bit on mobile. Is just, April, you all right over there?
Oh.
That's how I feel about song meanings as well, April. So the first comment is just they're fixing a lyric the way it was submitted to song meanings.
Before you go any further, so I don't know if this was in song meanings or this was in YouTube, but maybe you'll see if it was in song meanings. Some people arguing if whether or not son of a gun is a cuss.
Oh, wow.
Just like people upset about forgiven, I think, or something had the word damned. I have been damned, which is a biblical word. But son of a gun is, I mean, damned in some ways is a curse. Son of a gun is never a curse.
No, what about son of a gungan?
How dare you take that back? That's the dirtiest word of all.
King of the Eyesores 09 said, and I don't like this, it just says 16 years ago. I used to like that it was like July 5th,
Maybe this is on mobile.
2009 or whatever. So bummer. Let's see if I click into 16. No, it didn't work. I think the lyrics, Smith and Weston Jr. was a son of a gun. And they said Weston, actually. He pressed his nose up to my head. Yeah, I was sweating bullets, but I dodged the one that was not as much sweat as lead. Are incredibly clever. I love it. And I do enjoy that. I really like that particular chunk of lyrics, but I would put them in a different song. Amy O, 16 years ago, said, my favorite lyrics in this song are, oh, I still love you, oh, I still love you, although I know you want me dead, and when I turn my other cheek, I will beg and I'll plead. Oh, yeah, it said plea, and then this says plead.
So I did notice in the song meanings as well that some people are arguing about correcting the lyrics.
Right.
Because there'd be no official lyric sheet for this. Because this is from the Bird and the B-Sides
Right.
half of Bird and the B-Sides, and only the Nashville Tennis EP side of Bird and the B-Sides had a lyric sheet. None of the B-Sides had demos.
Right, and this person says it as it
Oh my gosh,
should be,
none
which
of
is
the B-sides had lyrics.
right. I'll beg and I'll plead that this time you might just kiss it instead. And then they say, those words are the best I've heard in a long time. But I noticed on the Genius, it says, I'll beg and I'll plea. And I'm like, oh, I'm guessing that this is just going back to the whole plea bargain thing. And I didn't think twice about the fact that it should have been plead. I paused there for a minute because I was like, did I read that right? And I'm like, yeah, I read it correctly. And then I was like, oh, I guess this is just throwing back to the whole courtroom thing.
Yeah.
But this person did say, I'll beg and I'll plead. So I'm like,
I mean, that is the phrase, but
Yeah.
is it plea? Now, who knows? Because there are no official lyrics. We should have mentioned that these are sussed out and transcribed lyrics in the wisdom of the internet. So are these the actual lyrics? Like, there's
Right.
no knowing. We are
put it
these
on
are
the
debatable.
put it on the Matt Thiessen question list. He probably doesn't
Even
remember.
if you see lyrics on Spotify, like they just get those from Music Match, and I think Music Match just gets them from whoever's first to base. Like if you're just the first user to submit, these are the lyrics, and you say, those are the ones that are up there, and if they're wrong, they're wrong. Like Spotify is not checking the lyrics that they have posted, so they have the lyrics for Air for Free. But there's no official lyrics for Air for Free. They were not printed with any version of the album.
Yeah.
So when you see Air for Free lyrics on Spotify, those were just typed up by some fan who is assuming what the lyrics are from their ear. So if something's
or
off,
an AI.
or an AI nowadays, I guess as well, yeah.
Cheese Ninja 16 years ago said, love that screen name. Not completely sure what this song is trying to say, but it's incredibly catchy and very clever. Relient K's cleverness with lyrics is what makes them my favorite band. Just wish this song wasn't so short. Silly Shenanigans 15 years ago said this song is splendid.
See,
Splendid
people
is
really
all
like
cast.
this song.
Yeah. Okay. RK Obsessed 13 years ago said, so the Stenographer is pure lyrical genius. This song is extremely well crafted. And when it comes to this song is extremely well crafted when it comes to flawless and intricate metaphors. The metaphor to begin with is a stenographer is a person who types out a record of all the words spoken in a court of law, which to me implies, oh, good Lord, this is really long.
But we have to hear it.
Yes, we do. Which to me, we don't have a lot for deep dives, so here it is. Thank you, RK Obsessed on Song Meanings. Which to me implies the fact that he's having a fight with someone who likes to keep score and can use his own words against him. She remembers them, quote, word for word, almost as if she's reading them back to him. Afterwards, she reads me like a book. And it seems that he doesn't want to fight. He tries to get along and is coming in pleasant temperament. But she disregards this fact to shoot him down with words. And sneaking into the courtroom is just another brilliant reference to fight / stenographers, etc. Then I don't know if I'd say that's brilliant, but okay.
I mean, it is a reference to that lyrical idea.
Yes.
But I mean,
It is a reference.
This person is very adamant about, like, this is a genius and well-crafted metaphor. And it's definitely a mix of metaphors, and it's fun, and it is thought out, but it is a demo, and I wouldn't call it finely crafted. By their own admission, it says demo on there, right? Like, this was a work in progress, and it feels like a work in progress to me.
The next metaphor is Smith & Wesson Jr. Being Australian, I did not understand the reference without looking it up, but Smith & Wesson is the largest gun manufacturer in the U.S., so putting a junior on the end is setting up the story and the segue into the common expression, son of a gun. Then pressed his nose up to my head is implying the nose of the gun being held to his head as he feels that she is shooting him down, which leads into the next expression, sweating bullets,
So
implying
why
nerves.
is he Smith & Wesson Jr., but she's holding his nose up to her? That's not a finely crafted metaphor. I don't understand why she is holding some... I know what Smith & Wesson Jr. means. I know he's a son of a gun. But in the context of this lyric, Smith & Wesson Jr. is now a new character who has stepped into the narrative. Whether or not he is factual or metaphorical, he is holding his nose to the narrator's head. So she's grabbing this guy's head and holding his nose up to Matt Thiessen's head, while at the same time that represents her holding a gun up to Matt Thiessen's head, which is really a metaphor for "I got you, sucker." Like that's like too many. That's like inception on inception on inception of metaphor, and I don't get it. Call up 402-95 Sadie if you get it.
Sweating bullets implying nerves and trying to dodge the proverbial bullets being shot at him.
I watch the proverbial bullets coming out of this guy's nose. Some of them are not made of sweat. Some of them are made of lead. And I don't want you. Go ahead.
Oh, I still love you. Oh, I still love you, even though you want me dead, is reflecting again on the fact that he doesn't want to fight, and he's trying to go about it in a Christ-like way by turning the other cheek, which is implying he's already been hit, perhaps by her words/bullets.
I did mean to mention, obviously, turn the other cheek is a biblical reference.
But he is obviously, as we all do in situations like this, hoping, beg and plead, that instead of being hit again, it may be forgiveness. This time you might just kiss it instead. The last part is the metaphor of a book being his side of the story, which he is sticking to. And he won't change regardless of her begging or asking or twisting his words.
This is more or less everything we said.
To change...
Yeah,
his tune, but he is sticking to his guns. Mind the pun. You know what? That would have been better. Why didn't he say he was sticking to his guns instead of not changing his tune?
Oh my gosh, you're right.
It was right there, Matt Thiessen. What are you doing?
Sticking to my guns. Yeah, that's
it was right in front
lyric.
of you.
Yeah. Also, this didn't come up, but when that YouTube video I played, he did mention how a stenograph, in a way, works more like a piano where you're playing chords. You're not right. You're not typing one letter at a time. You're typing chords that make up a word. So there's definitely something there in a finalized and more crafted version of this song that he could get to, where a stenographer or a stenotype is like a piano, and he's playing a piano and changing the tune. Like, there's more to work at there.
Yeah.
But I found that interesting that, how the stenograph is like chords of words.
Yeah. That is interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe he wrote this about how he wanted to start playing guitar more again on stage, and then this was his piano was holding a gun to his head saying, no, you got to continue to be piano Thiessen.
Good point.
And then RK Obsessed says, anyway, this is my interpretation of the incredibly well-written song by the wonderful, in caps, Matt Thiessen. God bless him. And that's what we have for song meanings.
Oh, wow.
Then we have a Reddit thread on r/Relient K from 4 years ago by Climb Rock Guitar that says, what does the second verse of the Stenographer mean? Continue. And then they write down what it says. And they say, it really sounds kind of literal to me and quite somber, but the tone of the song overall is kind of goofy and it seems out of left field. If anyone knows anything about it, I'd appreciate any info.
That's, I think, the first person online who I've seen say, like, take somewhat of a stance like ours, like, this is kind of goofy and out of left field.
Yeah,
Everyone
and
else
this
is like, this is so clever and amazing and I love it and finely crafted and well made. It's like, yes, I agree. It's a fun song, but I'm not that I'm not just ready to say that this is a finely crafted song.
And so they did say, and it goes, and just to remind you of the second verse, yeah, Smith & Wesson Jr. was a son of a gun. He pressed his nose up to my head. Yeah, I was sweating bullets, but I dodged the one.
Sweating bullets.
That was not so much sweat as was lead. Oh, wow. The realist Elon Musk 4 years ago replied, I don't know if there is more meaning outside the gun pun. It's worth noting that the Stenographer is a demo, kind of like Empty House. Is Empty House a demo? It made it on the main album.
I think we did hear that Empty House was like not finished in the studio of Air for Free, but they thought it was right enough as it was to put on the album. I think that came up.
What is it with Matt Thiessen demos and auto-tune? Let's maybe not put those on albums anymore. I'm sorry. You do you. Matt Thiessen, you do. Let's just
change your auto-tune.
Yeah, change your auto-tune. Let's just have some more albums, please and thank you. Thiessen likes to sing nonsense when he's coming up with a new melody. Apparently Air for Free was originally Marry Me, right, which is fun.
Right. What did this come up with? What did this come up from? There was a previous song that was pretty weird and goofy. And, oh, well, this isn't the one I'm thinking of, but Beeman, right? When we talked about Beeman, I think we figured out for sure with some proof and some mentions that Beeman was a song that he just kind of made up during sound checks. And they were singing about Scott, their tour manager. And then he was, go listen to that episode, but the fact that it's referencing Scotty from Star Trek is actually referencing their band, their tour manager, Scott. So, point is, yes, Thiessen just kind of makes up goofy songs on the fly. There's that early webisode series from the days of Brian Pittman being in the band, where the cell phone and Buffalo roam, and there's a couple of clips in there. We did a whole live stream of that for free that's on our YouTube. There's a couple of clips in there where Matt Thiessen is just making up songs that you never heard again. And so that's just something he was always doing. So yeah, this is probably just like a made up song. Just like Yesterday used to be Scrambled Eggs. You know, the Beatles song Yesterday, it started out with scrambled eggs, da 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 da, because he didn't know what the lyrics were going to be yet. So maybe that's what it is. It's just like, this really is first thought. Not first thought, best thought, but first thought, first thought.
First thought, lay it down thought.
First thought, write it down. First thought, plug it in.
Yeah, and I think that also makes sense and totally does track with Thiessen, and that's why it's a lot of word salad mixed metaphor. And it looks like Reddit also might kind of agree with us. I'm going to skip down a little bit, because 4 years ago, My Name Isn't Logan said, well, then what is it?
Yeah. we knocked each other down to say that.
It's just a demo not meant for release. That's why it's included on a B-side album. As such, it's probably just nonsense wordplay that is used to fill a cool melody. Not much different from the two Five Iron Frenzy songs, Penny Loafer or Beeman. The phrase itself is an obvious allusion.
Gosh darn it! Who is this? Me? Literally, I was looking at...
It could be because your name isn't Logan.
I was looking at Bird and the B-sides, and I'm like, Beeman wasn't the song I was thinking of. There was another song that I thought was like, this sounds like a made-up song he made up during sound check, and then he finished it up. And I just figured out what it was when you read that off. It's Penny Loafer. Penny Loafer's the other one. If you go back and listen to that episode, we vibed on the idea that this is a song that he just made up during sound checks and that they eventually wrote down and recorded.
The phrase itself is an obvious allusion to a gun and to his head and dodging a bullet. Who was holding that gun is not known. I'm not sure Matt even knows. Again, I think he was just writing words with no deeper meaning. Ning Festi 4 years ago said, yeah, I don't think there's much actual meaning here. I do love this song, though. So there you go.
There you go.
What do you have for your deep dive?
Not a lot. We'll just check the YouTube comments.
Wicks.
Oh, and there are no TikToks.
Right. Yeah, I heard you
figure.
I heard you call that out from across the apartment. Like, there are no TikToks. I'm like, okay. So over on Patreon this week, we just released an episode where we just went through like the top 6 most viewed Relient K YouTube videos of mostly just pretty much just uploads of their songs, and just read through some YouTube comments. So let's just continue that train for these couple of comments. 1 year ago on the official upload, the official Relient K upload from 3 years ago of this song, Shivo said, the part about Smith & Wesson Jr. has always been my favorite. And then Shane replied, mine as well. Great wordplay. Then Late Night Table Company said 12 hours ago, so many good lines in this song. I've probably thought about it at least once a month since it was first released.
Why is the Stenographer demo your Roman Empire? Absolutely not. I mean, you do you, but wow. I just mean... No, I don't want to yuck anybody's yum. I just mean that, like, there's so many better Relient K songs to think about on the regular.
Yeah. So then, I don't know. Some people love this song. 14 years ago, Dwellers by the Waters uploaded the song with a lyric slideshow. And what's funny is that Dweller by the Water 14 years ago said, if anyone wants me to post a certain song by Relient K, I'm glad to. I own all their CDs besides 5 years ago. So they're like, hey guys, I got your Relient K hookup until in about 2021 they finally start uploading their own stuff to YouTube.
Oh, guys.
Someone just quoted, but the temperament was quickly overlooked. Someone else said, I could post songs from 7 years ago as I have it, along with the rest of their albums. So, NS underscore is got fighting words for Dweller by the Waters. And then Ben wrote, crappy lyric job. Get it scrate. I guess get it straight, but they wrote, get it SKRATE. Get it scarate. Crappy lyric job. See, I wouldn't say crappy lyric job, but oh boy.
No, it's got bones. It's got bones. There's a lot of bones in there. They just might not all belong to the same animal.
And now here's the most popular upload of the song. This one has 19,000 views. This is from 2008. A fan upload of the song from Mandy I-17. So this predates Relient K's own official upload by almost 13 years. Relient K's official upload has 12,000 views in the last couple years. This one has 19,000 views over a decade and a half, and it has the most comments. Someone said, so much wordplay, I love it. Someone else said, best band ever, love it, can't wait for the whole song to come out. Keep on waiting. That was 15 years ago. I should just comment, still waiting. This is such a freaking weird song, but I love it anyway. And someone replied, LOL. Someone said, my favorite song. Someone else, and this is the thing, I don't know if I mentioned this in the episode. Did I mention this episode so far? I know I told you before we started recording. Some people, yes, I did mention the episode. Some people arguing whether or not son of a gun is a cuss.
Right.
So someone here,
it was here not song meetings.
Someone here, Claire Fulmer, wrote, son of a gun is not a cuss. Someone wrote, yeah, in Forgiven, you can't see past the blood on my hands to see that I've been aptly damned to fail and fail again. I guess that's, conversations in old YouTube videos get broken up and the comments are just kind of orphaned from the conversation. So then someone replies to that and said, you've been aptly dimmed, as in you have no light in the situation. Good Lord. And didn't give them the benefit of the doubt. That Forgiven song charted number 4 on the Christian Contemporary chart in 2007. Even if they did say damned, the word is used in the Bible multiple times. My point is he's not swearing. So some people here in the comments were like, son of a gun is a swear and Relient K is swearing, and they're wrong. But then people are like, and Mustard Squirt is the name of the one who's like quoting that Forgiven has the word damned, but then shit brick house replies that it's not damned, it's dimmed, and yet their name is shit brick house.
Outstanding.
Scoot 15 years ago, right? All I can think of is the song Forgiven. They say the word damned. Can't quote the exact part off the top of my head. This must be what the previous reply was to. But really, they aren't cussing there because it really isn't said in a way meant to be cussing or profane or language or whatever. I'm so sad. Like,
are you sad or is the commenter sad?
I'm saying I'm so sad that it comes to that, of like the minutia of there's got to be something wrong with this, and there's got to be something unchristian about the fact that they said damned, because they're so sheltered, because they were so
This
sheltered.
is why we bleep. I said damned twice in this episode 3-4 times now.
I'm not bleeping the damned. I'll bleep the swears, although I won't bleep brick shit house, because that is their name.
It sure is.
And the bleeping rule on this podcast has always been when Jessica and I swear extraneously, unnecessarily, then we bleep it. But if it's quoting something, then we leave it. But what's just sad is it's one thing. Look, making quality calls. What do you call it? Making like content calls on media because it has swears or sex or violence. That is not the prerogative strictly of Christian families, and yet a lot of Christian families and people who grew up in Christian families think it is. Parents making judgment calls on media for having swears is not a strictly Christian thing, and it never has been. But sometimes it becomes to a point where some of the kids are so sheltered growing up that you hear something that's not a swear, but it invokes a swear because you never hear swears, and then you think it's a swear and you're shocked, like son of a gun. And you know, when
not a swear.
I didn't grow up my whole life like that, but I have a memory when I was a little kid, my dad was watching some Western movie. It was like a 70s Western movie, so I don't remember what it was.
A Honcho?
I don't remember what it was. It was some movie where...
It's Al Bundy's favorite, I think.
It was some movie where towards the end they could say the B word because they say that son of a... and they bleeped it.
Sure.
They bleeped it on cable at the time in the 80s or the 90s. And I didn't say anything. I was just like, that was a swear. And it had son of a at the beginning. So later I heard someone say, and I'm like in 4th grade or something, and I heard someone say the word son of a gun. This memory is just coming back to my brain. And I heard someone say son of a gun. Oh, this was in like a remedial reading class or something because I was having trouble. I was having trouble at the time, and I'm remembering what classroom this was. And I went to the teacher. I'm like, there's a swear in this book. And I pointed at it. I was like, it says son of a gun because I actually thought I saw son of a, and I remembered that movie where they bleep son of a bleep. And I went to the teacher, and she's like, oh, no. And she was like, why do you think that's a swear? And I'm like, well, because they bleeped that out on TV a little while ago. And she's like, oh no, they didn't bleep the word gun. That was a different word in place of gun. She didn't tell me what it was.
That's
was like,
so sweet. This is the sweetest story
Yeah,
I've heard about little Danny literally ever. Usually I just hear horrendous little Danny stories.
This is a time when a teacher in the Burlington public school system actually taught me something.
Oh no. Oh my gosh, that's so cute. Were you the one who commented all those years ago? You know what? I guess if these YouTube commenters are also in like 4th grade, although I don't think they should have a YouTube account commenting on things at that age. I don't think that's allowed. I think you have to be like, I don't know. How old do you have to be to have a YouTube account? I don't know.
I don't know. But I'm just, so all I'm saying is like, look, it's not above anybody to like, not to learn what are swears and what aren't swears. But when I see these particular kind of comments on Relient K stuff, and I see them all the time, it's more strict. It's kids who grew up in much more strict Christian homes that didn't even allow them to watch any kind of TV or music or anything. So when they see a thing that kind of evokes a swear, they think it is a swear, and they debate it because they have no kind of like real world experience of that stuff. And I had a little bit more real world experience. We had cable TV when I was growing up. My parents didn't like block everything. They blocked MTV. That's the only thing they blocked when I was a kid. So I had some understanding of the world.
They didn't block the Spice Channel?
Of course they blocked the Spice Channel. The Spice Channel comes
You said only MTV.
They didn't unblock all the other channels. They didn't just block MTV, but please unlock all of the pornography channels, please. That would be back then. That would be like thousands of dollars. I'm talking in early cable. It's like you paid. It was like pay-per-view. Spice channels were like pay-per-view, and I only know because you'd flip the channel and it would say like, click this button, like $5 for I don't remember the actual amount, but it'd be like pay the money for this particular program, and it wasn't like a full
interesting
program. Yeah. Well, here's another story.
I don't think I realized that.
One time I acted because this is pre directory on the screen cable is what I'm talking about. Like you would flip around, but there would be a guide sort of digitally burned into the image that'd be like, this show starts in 15 minutes. Click buy to buy it, and you will be charged $10. And that was true of like the Spice Channel, but it was also true of like pay-per-view movies. You hear the words pay-per-view, right?
Yeah.
Everyone knows pay-per-view. Well, pay-per-view used to be how you would watch first-run movies on your cable. And one time I was like, I loved The Mask. I saw it 3 times in the theater. And when it hit pay-per-view, it wasn't available on VHS yet. I was so excited to see it again. I was like, I got to push it. I got to push the button. It's going to get charged to the cable bill, but I got to watch The Mask again. So I pushed the button, and This isn't cable where you push the button and then the movie starts when you want it. Things were scheduled to start, and you had to push the button that said it would send the signal to say unscramble this channel, unscramble this 80s 90s channel at 4:00, and then re-scramble it at 5:30 when the movie's over, unless they buy the next movie after that. So I went ahead and I bought and unscrambled The Mask. I started watching the first 5-10 minutes, and then I got afraid my parents are going to find out, so I went right to my parents. I'm like, Mom, Dad, for some reason the pay-per-view channel is unscrambled. I don't know what happened. I think
These are the usual little Danny stories I'm used to.
But something must have happened, and I don't want you guys to get charged because the cable box made a mistake. And so my mom called, and it was like the same thing that happens now. I think if your kid leans on the iPhone and buys $50,000 of Robux, you can call and say that was a mistake. It was the same thing, and my parents knew.
Man, Cooper's already trying to like push stuff in. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's just like he'll like grab a phone and manage to like get it unlocked or something, like via the camera or something, and then he'll be like pushing everything, and I'll be like, "No, don't buy something on Amazon. What are you doing?"
He texted a picture of you and him to. I was like, "Oh God, who'd you text? Did you text someone from my last job or something?" Who I don't want to talk to right now because I want to space out. I want to like not get in touch with them for a while. And no, he just texted like AS94339 on text message, a picture of you and him, and it said message failed. And I'm like, thank God that's not like some North Korean Dropbox or something.
Oh no!
Anyway, so what do I have for? I don't even know
Oh yeah, we didn't even get there yet.
I was reading through comments and I saw the people arguing about whether or not damned and son of a gun are swears. So there's only 2 derivative works on YouTube. DRBOKAJ uploaded just a simple sort of fan music video where it's just footage of a lake by a river. It's a picture of a nice river somewhere, and they're just taking nice video of it, kind of letting the camera spin and go along. It's just nice footage. This was uploaded 11 years ago. Has less than 300 views.
What is this Dragon Ball Z like ramen ad that you've got underneath here?
It's an ad for Dragon Ball Super on Crunchyroll dubs, because I watch a lot of Dragon Ball stuff now. So here's just a nice video of just outdoors at some sort of river and dam in their neighborhood.
You wouldn't know anything about the outdoors, would you, nerd?
You're such a jerk.
I love you.
You're such a jerk.
I love you.
You're not a jerk. I love you too. We're just joking around. So here's the only cover of the Stenographer. This is uploaded by Relient K 13 years ago. This is the Stenographer Relient K cover remake.
Nice.
Okay, guys.
Love it, Relient Katie.
So many people, well, not so many, but like enough that I feel kind of self-conscious about it, commented negatively on my first 2 videos.
Oh no, what are you doing? Don't be mean to Relient Katie.
Oh no, what else did Relient Katie have? You can't comment on this video. I don't know if she's about to say so she might have removed those older videos.
Or Relient Katie looks kind of young. Maybe they just took the things down because she's young.
Yeah.
Because, 1, I'm 2 years older now, so I know a little better about singing. And I've actually had voice lessons, so now I know proper techniques and stuff. So, hopefully I don't get nasty comments anymore, but you know what? I know and accept the fact that there's always going to be haters. So, whatever. Talk to the end. No.
Yeah, you do you, Relient Katie.
That lame. If I am, then just stop watching me. Alright, so here's the Stenographer again.
Oh, so it was a previous upload that is now down. And here's the re-upload. So this is Relient Katie's second the replacement upload of the Stenographer. The only cover of this song that I know of.
Sorry, I don't have like background music. I know one of the people who commented said that it's kind of empty without that. But I don't really know how to play it. Okay.
okay.
That
You do
happens all
you.
the time. There's tons of YouTube videos like that. But I like how I think she's the first vocal cover, like unaccompanied vocal cover I've ever seen, where she actually says a comment about how there's no background music. So let's hear this.
Excuse me, it's called acapella.
I guess it's called acapella, but I think in the
You
online,
gotta be doing that ooh doobity doo boo boos in the background in order for it to be acapella.
Yeah, I think technically it is acapella if you're just singing by yourself unaccompanied, even if you don't have a whole group of people doing mouth instruments. But still, online, when you're just singing in a room by yourself, it's a vocal cover. Just like how online, if you're playing along on guitar to the recorded track, that is unfortunately called a guitar cover. Just like how pop punk that expresses any emotion is called emo. Just like how any lie is called gaslighting. It's just like how any I have a whole bunch of these. Anyway. Just like how any powerful female character is called a Mary Sue. Here, this is called a vocal cover in the parlance of our digital age. So here is Relient Katie's vocal cover of The Stenographer.
I got in a fight with a stenographer. Afterwards, she read me like a book. And I've tried to get along with her. But my temperament was quickly overlooked.
Very nice.
That was lovely, Relient Katie. Good job.
We should add our own instrumentation, or someone out there with musical talents should add their own instrumentation. Does she say she should beatbox to herself when the disco beat comes in? She should double herself going nt, nt, nt.
I
skipped ahead. Yet actually, this back half of the song actually sounds like a real song when you don't have that awful canned disco beat. Well, anyway, that's like the glue on the binding. That's the episode, and we're sticking to it. So, Jessica, what do you think of The Stenographer? Hey, keep that microphone near me. So, Jessica, what do you think of The Stenographer? Do you like it the same, less, or more than before we did this episode?
I like it a little less.
I like it about the same. I don't like it more, and I don't like it less. I never loved it to begin with. It's just a song that's there. It's a demo. I'm glad they released it. I'm glad we can talk about it. It's fascinating. I'm glad that a lot of people get a lot out of this song.
That's very well said. I'm stealing that. I'm piggybacking on that. I agree. What Danny said.
Yep. So that's The Stenographer. So we'll see if we see you at SeaWorld.
Hit us up if you're going, and we'll figure that out, and we'll try to not let 2 months pass before we get another episode out.
We'll try.